In 2015, NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg declared that the West is in greater danger from Russia than it ever faced during the Cold War. Employing a paranoid rhetoric that portrays Russia as being bullied by the Western powers, the unstable figure of Vladimir Putin rules with a tight grip and one of the world's largest nuclear arsenals at his disposal. But how dangerous is Russia? Facing the greatest immediate threat is the Ukraine, with whom Russia has been in conflict for decades. Violence has escalated in the country since 2013, with Putin doubling the amount of Russian troops near the Russian-Ukraine border and passing into Crimea, as well as organizing the funding and arming of pro-Russian Ukrainian rebels. Having doubled its defense budget since 2007, Russia is currently spending $300 billion on modernized weapons and military vehicles, as well as recruiting 60,000 ground troops each year. In total, this accounts for 1/3 of the country's annual spending. Thousands of these ground troops are entering the Ukraine in unmarked uniforms and vehicles. Working alongside Ukrainian rebels, they are known as Little Green Men. They have reportedly seized public buildings by force, occupied roads, and patrol airports while carrying assault rifles. While it is generally thought to be unlikely that Russia will attempt a full takeover of the Ukraine, it is possible that it may seize an area of land to forge a mini-state, and in doing so, it would have the leverage to take wider control over its neighbours. But it's not just the Ukraine in danger. Putin has expressed a desire to reunify former Soviet territories in order to restore the prestige of the Soviet Union. There are reports that nuclear missiles have been planted close to the Polish border. NATO suggests countries including Latvia and Estonia could also be at risk from Russian aggression. It is thought Putin could lead a covert campaign within former Soviet bloc countries, as he has done in the past. Potential threats include cyber attacks and the targeting of Russian citizens living in Baltic countries. And it's not just with ground troops that Russia has been demonstrating its military power. In 2014, NATO planes intercepted 400 Russian planes either over or close to international borders. Latvia reported 150 incidents of Russian planes in its airspace. Flying with radars turned off, Russian craft are unseen by other pilots. There have been 2 near collisions between Russian military aircraft and Swedish airliners. While America and Britain have offered help to the Ukraine and made a clear anti-Russian stance, Putin and his government have forged links with China. The Russian president has entered into trade agreements in a bid to please Chinese authorities and guarantee their military alliance. Sharing a desire to stall Western political influence, in May 2015, the 2 countries' naval forces joined up to practice exercise drills in the Mediterranean Ocean. Could this strengthening alliance pose a grave threat to the West? At the heart of this increasingly violent behavior are the troubles affecting the Russian economy. Reliant largely on oil, Russia has been struggling to maintain a stable economy for decades. In 2012, Russia's economy significantly declined, triggering Putin to launch a political campaign intended to intensify Russian nationalism. He limited free speech and strangled civil rights, targeting journalists and minority groups, notably the LGBTQ community. Putin's need to present Russia as a powerful country regardless of the economic crisis ultimately led to the invasion of the Ukraine. Hoping to distract Russians from their financial struggle, the conflict was painted as a necessary war against Western powers. Seemingly, Putin knew how to impress the people of his own country, as his official approval rating during the violence stood at 80%. If it worked for him once, is it possible that he will lead his country into further conflict in a desperate bid to avoid confronting the failure of the Russian economy? As history often proves, war is good for business. Secretary-General Stoltenberg has made it clear that many of the 7,500 nuclear weapons Russia holds would take just minutes to deploy. This means that if we allow Putin's paranoia to continue unabated, the West could be just moments from destruction. With no sign of economic recovery and an ever-growing military presence crossing international borders, it's worth asking how long it will be before Putin and his army are tempted to press the button and trigger war.
Hi guys, that was How Dangerous is Russia? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This video is part of a collaboration with our good friends over at TestTube News. They've made a video called How Corrupt is Russia? So be sure to click here to go over and check it out.
Bribery has been seen as a common occurrence even for high-ranking officials. This cultural normalization of bribery may have begun around the 16th century, when state officials were often not given a salary, and instead were encouraged to take gifts of food and favors from their constituents.